Everybody, welcome back to Wicked Good Sports. This is At the Buzzer. I'm joined, as always, by Jack Dearden. Jack, how you doing?
Brian, we've been better, thanks, but happy to be here.
Yeah, things have not been great for Celtics fans over the past week. We had the high of coming back against the 76ers and the MVP and our former coach, and our former coach got fired, and then everything has just completely flamed out. What has happened that has led the Celtics to be down 0-3 against the Heat?
I think flamed out is a perfect description of what has happened to these Boston Celtics. I think we are devoid of purpose on defense. I think we are just hucking up whatever the heck we want, especially in game three. I think games 1 and 2, you can say there was a conscious effort to actually, play. Um, but in game three, it felt like we were just putting up whatever. Like there were a couple shots where I saw Marcus just like in the air try to like put something in the basket with like 14 left on the shot clock. A couple of deep threes by Jalen, just not knowing how to dribble. Dude, it's just like all of the worst parts of the Celtics season so far. Like there was a point where Malcolm Brogdon was cold. He's been cold now in the playoffs for a couple of games at this point. Um, Jason Tatum goes in a scoring slump, right? That seems to happen every playoffs, right? Jalen Brown just forgets how to play basketball. Again, it's just so strange. I don't know what's going on. Al Horford can't shoot threes anymore, right? Where he was one of the most prolific shooters of the Celtics, franchise this entire season. Like, what's going? Like, how did this happen overnight? Like, is there something about the Heat that like they're just so mentally tough that we just crumble under that pressure? Like, I don't know. I truly don't know how to even address what's going on aside from a monumental collapse.
Yeah, it's been insane to watch the Heat really just have their way with the Celtics. And like you said, the Celtics have been missing a ton of shots. I mean, it's been I think it was 59 shots in game 3 they missed, which
Yeah,
wild. Um, but also the Heat have been shooting, the lights out. It's been
it's been absurd.
crazy.
I don't know if that what's the most frustrating about this for me is that the Celtics are going to most likely lose the series, right? It's just statistically speaking at this point. Um,
Has anyone ever come back from
no,
3-0? Yeah,
that
no.
they've not. No. So statistically speaking, it's not likely. Um, Make a hell of a story, but it's not happening. Um, so I think
The
it's safe
Red
to say
Sox did it in the MLB, that's
I
something.
mean, it's possible. It is absolutely possible.
That's
I
the
hope
latest
not.
cope that I've seen.
That
Yesterday, before
I'll
the
be borrowing
game, it
that.
was the Celtics dropped 2 games to the Bulls when Jimmy Butler was on them and then came back and won 4-2. That was the cope going around. Now it's, hey, the Red Sox did it.
And that's all we have. I don't think we have anything else to go off of. I think the only thing no, there's nothing. I mean if you look at game three, right? If you look at game three, the only positive stat that I was able to take away was that the Celtics out offensive rebounded the Heat 20-1. And that's because the Celtics of the derivative of that is because the Celtics were bricking everything or airballing everything. There were like I saw 4 airballs at one point. That's just gross. That is just a lack of focus at that point. Like you're not with it. You're dejected. It's disgraceful. Honestly, it really is. Um, yeah, I don't know. I saw another stat also while I'm stat dropping at this point. Another stat of what Celtics players have scored more field goals in the fourth quarter than Jason Tatum. And the fact that Luke Cornett is on that list is just like that. Luke Cornett has played like the fourth quarter of game three. Like that's it. I highly doubt he's seen the floor at any other point this series. I could be wrong, but he has more field goals than Jason Tatum, who just dropped 50 on Joel Embiid and James Harden's head, what, like a week and a half ago? Like that, the Jason Tatum, I know recency bias is the case, but like that Jason Tatum has like reversed himself into games 5 and 6 Jason Tatum from that series. Um, it's really disgusting. And like that, I don't know what we do. I really don't know what we do moving forward here. Like this is a crossroads potentially for us.
Yeah, and like normally when Jason Tatum disappears in the playoffs, which like you said, he's done it a bunch of times. Um, we have Brown picking up the slack, we have Horford Smart picking up the slack, but
Derek White,
no,
Grant
Derek
Williams.
White, yeah, everyone's MIA. The
Yep.
Celtics didn't get the memo that they're in a playoff series, I guess.
Grant has been the only player actually who is looking like serviceable, which is
Mhm.
surprising considering he quote unquote poked the bear, which I don't know. I don't like that narrative. I think that's the right thing to do. He's the only one that showed any life so far in this entire
Yeah,
series from the Celtics.
yeah.
So like I'm good for that. I
Mhm.
support Grant on that.
I do too, and I think we're both pretty similar in that, like, you gotta have some fire, like,
Show me
you
something.
gotta
Yeah.
yeah, so I like Grant getting in the face. I don't like that none of his teammates seemingly responded to it whatsoever.
Yeah. I agree. They just kind of sat there and they were like, whatever. And then when they asked Jalen Brown about it, he said, next question. Like
I know,
I support I don't know. Yeah, it's so
yeah.
frustrating to watch.
Where, like, everyone on the Heat is that same intensity
Yeah,
as Grant. He took it personal last year's loss to us,
for
and
sure.
I don't know. This is pathetic, and I guess
Yeah.
the elephant in the room is this potentially fireable for Joe Mazzulla?
That I think if you had told me that after game 7 against the Sixers, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have been like, fireable? Like, absolute, like, no shot. But now that I'm watching this, and I'm watching in a must-win game, well, essentially a must-win game in game 2, or game 3, rather, where we need to win that to not be down at a literally almost insurmountable level, um, I would say no, but now I am actually not sure. I really am not. There are a lot of coaches on the market that I think would be chomping at the bit to be on the Celtics team. Um, whether it be Monty Williams, whether it be Doc. I don't know if Doc would. I don't know how I actually feel about Doc personally,
A
but
return of Doc. I don't know if
the
getting
the
Doc
return of
changes
Doc.
much here.
I don't think it changes much at all in total transparency. I think I'd rather have another year of Missoula than a year of Doc, to be honest with you. Like Budenholzer on the Bucks, right? Nick Nurse, right? Like a lot of almost champion caliber or champion caliber coaches who are on the market right now. And Joe Mazzulla's younger than Al Horford, right? Like there's something to think about or something to be said about that stat and experience, right? He's been criticized for not calling timeouts. He's been criticized for like leaving in weird subs and doing stupid things where it's worked out for some of the season. But it's clear now that the Celtics don't have a defensive identity because Miami is doing whatever they want to them. Um, Maybe part of that is Rob Williams not being healthy, right? Not being completely healthy. We're kind of playing him on one leg still. Does he have that bounce back for next year? Because that's what we're looking at this point is next year, right? If that's the case, do you run Missoula back? Do we really want to go through 4 head coaches in 4 years, um, with like potentially the greatest young core that basketball's ever seen? And by the young core, I should say not that basketball's ever seen. Potentially the greatest duo that basketball's ever seen, and maybe not if we can't get to the finals and win. Um, but I think Missoula is probably safe. I do. I think they wouldn't have taken the tag off him midway through the year, extended him if they didn't have some sort of faith in him. However, it really does show that like either he is just unprepared or he just is in way over his head at this point. Um, so I think we need to see how next season kicks off, and I think he could be a candidate to be gone early. Um, but I think he's safe for this cycle at least for sure.
Yeah, and it's tough too. Eric Spoelstra is like a hell of a coach, like for
For
real,
sure.
like a great coach. So the disparity is there between
Absolutely.
first time head coach who was an interim head coach to now, maybe one of the greatest coaches in the league, if not the greatest coach, currently active right now. So we'll see.
Hmm.
It's tough, but what a disappointing way for the season to probably end, right?
Brutal. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see us win game 4, right? Just get something, show some heart.
Mhm.
Maybe I don't think Miami will give it to us, frankly. I
No.
think they're probably that's not how they operate. And I think that's, you got to give them credit where credit's due for that. They have the right mentality. They have a championship mentality, and I don't feel like the Celtics team does.
Yeah, the fact that the Celtics completely gave up in game 3 doesn't
Yeah,
really like fill me with any hope that they're not going to just immediately roll over as soon as something goes badly. I mean,
same.
Marcus Smart is throwing punches and they didn't connect, but like, come
You
on,
can't hit
man.
anything. You can't hit
Yeah,
anything.
getting
You know, it's
yeah,
it's bad, dude.
it's
It's
really
yeah,
bad.
that was I mean, I like to defend Smart a lot. You can't defend that either, right?
No,
That
no, no, no.
like that's stupid. That's
No, you don't get to
childish.
be defended when you do that. You
Stupid
know.
shit like that. No, sorry. If that's supposed to be the emotional leader of your team, I get it,
Mm,
but that's childish, unfortunately.
yep. No, totally agree. All right. Anything we haven't touched on that you wanted to?
I think we can talk. To be honest with you, I think we need to decide whether or not we're going to blow this up or not, right? Like, I
Yeah.
think that's the question. Do we now, with impending max contracts for Tatum and Brown, what do we do with this team? Is this something we run it back with? Do we need a replacement for Al Horford, who looks like he aged like 20
Yes.
years over the
We
course of
have.
this playoffs?
This is gonna sound like bad, but love Time Lord, love Al. We don't really have any dynamic big men on this
No,
roster.
no, we do not.
You know,
That's what we're missing, I think. I truly
yeah.
do. You look at
Like
dynamic is a great word. Sorry, go ahead.
no, it's just like Rob's very, very limited in his skill set. Like he's just an under the hoop, like a very classic big man, and that's not what you need in the current NBA.
He's so explosive, but he can't do your standard big men stuff, right? Like he
Mm,
he can pass, he can even I don't want to say facilitate because that's not true, but he can pass, right? He has good court vision, but it doesn't matter when he can't shoot, and literally he just cannot shoot. Um, he's a non-shooter. It's what he is. It's not no
mhm,
knock on him. There are plenty of successful non-shooters in the league, but then you look at like I mean that limits us so much if Al is not able to hit his threes, is what it comes down to. And he also can't like I've never seen Rob back anybody down in the post either, right? Like that's like that we don't have that ability. And that's what it comes down. Those are some easy buckets that if you watch Joel Embiid just like absolutely pulverize no matter who is on him, right? Just like easily step it back to the basket, jump up, put a little hook up, bank it in, whatever. That's something that the Sixers have like on the lock. Like they don't have to worry about that. The Suns, DeAndre Ayton, question for his effort, sure, but he can do that well. Domantas Sabonis can do that well. And you look pretty much at like where all of those teams finished in the standings this year as like one of their primary top one or two guys, and it's pretty high. Like that's what it comes down to. The Kings did well. Um, the Suns did well, right? Like we don't have that. We made it as far as we did because of the other pieces on our roster. Whereas the Suns, you can credit a lot of their success to DeAndre Ayton. You can credit a lot of the Kings' success to Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, right? We don't. We have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. We don't have a big. If we don't have a big, we can't compete in the current present day league, right?
yeah,
Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, we can't compete with that.
yeah. We like the Celtics are so dependent on being hot while shooting, and
Yeah,
when
yeah,
they're on, they'll blow anybody out. They're capable of beating
absolutely,
any team by like 30 points.
easy,
Uh,
right?
but when it's not in this whole series, it hasn't been. It's brutal.
It's bad. You're getting to a point where it is almost inexcusable, right? And I even say that for Tatum. I know his game 7 performance was excellent, right, in against Philly, but now he's so bad. Him and Brown,
Yeah.
frankly, they both are so bad right now. Like they
Yep.
can't buy a bucket. It's so bad. I don't even Bam embarrassed them in game 3, both of them on different separate occasions. Al too, it's just like that's another interior presence, right? Bam is 6'9", but he can do other things. He's technically a shooter. He shoots more than Rob does at least, right? I I don't know, man. It's that seems to be the missing piece, and I think we're gonna have to give up some stuff to get that. And I don't know if that's one of the 3 point guards. Um, I don't know. I'm gonna say, yeah, trade Pritchard and Grant for DeAndre Ayton, right? Like that, you're gonna see that all over Twitter probably, but it's just not feasible, right?
That'd be
We're gonna
nice. I don't
I mean,
think it's
yeah.
gonna
I
be
mean, shit.
possible.
Sure. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I'd do that. Yeah, of course. But it's just, it's not happening, So
Yeah.
we're gonna have to give up something for a piece.
Yep.
And whether that is, I don't know what that means for the future of Time Lord. I don't know what it means for the
Mhm.
future of Al, or some of our young players. But like, we need to get a big, and that's what it comes
Yeah.
down to.
Yeah. I mean, like some of the most disheartening parts of this series is like, okay, we're down 9. All right, we're gonna get down the court real quick possession and miss 3, and now it's just immediate like the other team just going right back down. You can't like establish anything.
The up-tempo offense, if you're just like what you should be doing is you should be driving the ball with an up-tempo offense, or if it's, you can create space once everybody gets down there when your entire 5 is down on your side of the floor, and you can create that space and take threes then. But for some reason we're pushing and then we're just hucking up threes with like 17 left on the shot clock. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, we don't need to do that now. If you can make those. I know that the 3 volume ball is a play for the Celtics, but if you're gonna drive and pick up the pace, drive to the basket. I don't know why we're so scared because Bam's there, because Jimmy's there. They're a great interior defensive team because they're so versatile. But I mean, they're a great defensive team, period, right? You got to give them credit where credit's due, for sure. They're hot offensively, which is convenient, of course, for them, right? But I mean, the fact that we can't, it's so frustrating to watch, because you're right. There's no tempo. We're just pushing for no reason, basically, to just huck up bad threes, and it's immediately a turnover because nobody on our team has gotten back on defense yet, or gotten that offensive rebound, right? Because they're all still on the other end of the court, because Marcus Smart has pushed for no reason and taken this like 30-foot jumper for that air balls out of bounds. Like it's
Yeah.
so annoying.
Yeah. I mean, my example was literally Marcus Smart.
Case in point, I guess.
Yeah. But it happens a lot. It's not just him.
It does.
Yeah.
It is not just him. Brogdon was airballing, right? That's not something you see, because Brogdon has been fire from deep, and he's been a great offensive. It's 6th man of the year, right? Like he deserves his flowers. But
listen, it's tough because it's like 2 All NBA players, a defensive player of the year, a 6th man of the year, and it's like doesn't look like it. Like none of you guys look like those accolades that you've received.
This looks like the Detroit Pistons Blake Griffin era. Like that's what this looks like. It is bad.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, yeah, it's just inexcusable.
Honestly, speaking of Blake, while we're talking about it, I would rather play Blake than Al Horford in Game 4, and I mean that, because he will provide hustle. He is shit at shooting threes, but right now so is Al. I'd rather throw Blake in there and let Al get fired up off the bench and play that bench role, right?
Yeah.
I never thought I'd say that, but like I also, like, depending on how the guards are playing, the only guys that I want to see on the floor for guards right now for the Celtics are Derek White and Peyton Pritchard. I don't want to see Marcus, and I don't want to see Brogdon.
Right.
At least until they can figure out how to shoot the fucking ball again.
Yeah,
sorry, it's family friendly.
Yeah, no, hey, it's all good. It's crazy. Hey, last year the Nets put Blake in Game 4 of that series. He had a little bit of a pop.
He did. He did. Maybe we can capture some of that lightning in a bottle for.
Yeah,
I mean,
he scored like 4 or 6 points or something.
Something like that. He's got fresh legs, man. He hasn't played all. Actually, I think he had some run in the Hawks series, but I don't know, man. He's got some fresh legs right now. Al clearly does not.
No. All right. Well, we'll see if we blow it up. We'll probably be talking more about that because it seems like this series is over.
This might be it.
Yeah. All right, Jack. Plug away. Where can they find you online?
Sure. The plug is always at Jack_Tiernan on Twitter. You can find me there for all of my NBA takes, which is now basically mourning the Celtics season. Moving into Red Sox and Saints stuff as we continue on here. You can also follow my Instagram, and that's for disc golf at Jack Disc Golfs. Follow me there for disc golf content.
That's looking forward to the football stuff. Saints have a potential running back battle. Very excited. They got a new quarterback. It's going to be a fun time, I feel like, in New Orleans this season.
For sure.
So, yes, go follow Jack there. Follow me on Twitter at @TheFakeBMartins. Our channels on Twitter at Wicked Sports, and then search TikTok also Wicked Sports. Jack, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
We'll see you all in the next one.